Днем плюс 12-18, облачно. Еще холоднее в Мурманской области. В субботу там всего плюс 14. В воскресенье еще прохладнее. Пройдут небольшие дожди, утром туманы.
That was the weather forecast on one Russian TV channel. Stay tuned if you want to be able to understand it. Hello, welcome to Quarter TV and to our online program Let's Speak Russian. This is lesson 40. This is our fourth vocabulary boost. Now, over the last two videos, we've already done lots of work on vocab, namely to do with date, time and numbers. I hope you've been practicing that. The natural complement to this area of vocab is, of course, the weather, and we're going to talk about it in this lesson. However, before we start, a few notices. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do a bit of advertising, so bear with me. First of all, you can now follow us on Instagram. The link for that is below. As soon as more of you are there, we'll be posting daily about any updates on the channel, of course, any words of the day, sayings, and general pieces of advice when maybe learning Russian or visiting Russia. Likewise, you can now support us on Patreon. Link for that is also below. There you can find many different exercises and worksheets for all the lessons we've done so far. There will also be extra videos on there very soon. Likewise, I just want to remind you that you're always very welcome to write us an email if you have any questions at all. This can be about Russian, learning the language, any questions you have from our lessons, submitting any homework tasks, or maybe about Russia and the country in general. Please remember that this is all free. And lastly, we are now starting to offer online one-to-one tutoring. If you're interested in that, then please email us. Otherwise, let's start the lesson. So, the weather. I want to make it clear from the very start that you have to be very careful when talking about the weather in Russian. You never, ever, ever, ever use the pronoun it, or any pronoun at all. The weather in Russian only ever has a verb and obviously the condition. Or, just like in English, we can also describe the weather using adjectives. For example, good, bad, or marvelous, or lovely, things like that. The point is that whilst in English we can say it is raining, or it is nice outside, or it is sunny, in Russian you don't do that. There is no it involved at all, okay? You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Now, first of all, how do you say weather in Russian? Well, that will be погода. Погода. Unstressed or at the start gives us погода. So, questions to ask then in relation to the weather, you can say какая сегодня погода? Какая сегодня погода? What's the weather like today? Какая means which, or what is it like. Сегодня is, of course, today, and погода is weather. An alternative for that could be как там на улице? Как там на улице? This means what's it like outside. Как, you know, means how. Tam is your very first Russian word that you learned all the way back in lesson 1, which means there. Na улице means outside, okay? Улица, you know, from lesson 30 is a street. Na улице, here we've just got a declension. We'll be talking about nouns and cases in much more detail in the next video, so be sure to watch that as well. Как там на улице is something like, what is it like over there, outside? Assuming that, of course, the speaker is at home or inside a building, so not outside. Now, there are many ways that you can reply to this. People generally in Russia tend to reply with just an adjective, so they describe what the weather was like. For example, сегодня хорошая погода. Сегодня хорошая погода. The weather's good, or the weather's nice today. Хорошая, remember, just means good. Masculine form is хороший. I hope you're confident now with just changing the endings of the adjectives. Keep practicing that if you're still unsure. Or, завтра будет плохая погода. Завтра будет плохая погода. The weather's going to be bad tomorrow, or the weather's not going to be good tomorrow. Плохая is feminine of плохой, which means bad. Remember that будет is just the simple future tense of to be, быть. Please refer to lesson 26 if you don't remember. Or you could say, talking about the past, вчера была, and then some kind of adjective, погода. Yesterday the weather was something. Now you'll find that Russians here will very often use many different adjectives to describe the weather. Хорошая and плохая are just the basics, and I recommend that you stick to these just for now. If we want to be a bit more specific, we can start describing the actual weather conditions. To do this, you can either stick to the same construction as we've just seen by saying what the weather is like using an adjective, or you can just say the adverb, literally. So if we want to say it's sunny, we can say солнечная, солнечная, which is the adjective and it means sunny. Here we could say солнечная погода or сегодня солнечная погода. Or if someone asked you the second question, как там на улице, you could just say солнечно, or even better, на улице солнечно. This is the adverb, so please pay attention to the difference. Солнечная, that is an adjective, that is describing the noun weather, погода. Солнечно is the adverb, and that is generally talking about what the weather is like, as if there's a verb present. If it's cloudy, we will say облачная, облачная погода. If we're using the adverb, then it's облачно, облачно. Rainy will be дождливая, дождливая, or дождливо, дождливо. And finally, windy will be ветреная, ветреная, or ветрено, ветрено. Now what about some other conditions? When we're talking about rain, snow, or other precipitation, we have to use the verb to go in Russian, which of course sounds very strange. In English we say it is raining. In Russian we say the rain goes, quite literally. So you're going to have to get used to that. So to say it's raining, we will say идет дождь, идет дождь. You should hopefully remember that идет is third person singular of to go, идти. Дождь is the word for rain. So literally, once again, the rain is going. For snow, we still use the same verb. Идет снег. Идет снег. We've already seen the word for snow in lesson 35. If we're talking about something like fog, for example, then we just need to indicate its presence. We don't need to use any other verbs here. Quite simply, на улице, outside, and then whatever the condition is. Туман. Туман is fog. На улице туман. Now you can replace туман with any other weather condition. You can also say на улице дождь or на улице идет дождь. That's also fine. Now let's have a look at what we would do for the past tense. Quite simply, we just change идет into the imperfect tense. Шел дождь. That means it was raining. And as you're understanding, hopefully, this is a notion of it continually raining. So over the period of, let's say, a day. So all day yesterday it was raining. Here you would say шел дождь. Шел снег, for it was snowing. And how would we say there was fog? Well, we just take the verb to be, быть, and we also change it into the imperfect tense. That will be был. Because туман is masculine, we just keep it as был. We don't need to add on or a. It's just был туман. There was fog. And for the future tense, we just once again convert this into the simple future. You could, of course, also use the compound future to say something like it will be raining. You know how to do that. So in the simple future, it will be пойдет дождь. Пойдет дождь. It will rain. However, you can, as I said, say будет идти дождь. Дождь будет идти. That means it will be raining. Пойдет снег. It will snow. or будет идти снег. It will be snowing. And lastly, будет туман. Будет туман. There will be fog. Okay? Now notice in English we're using the phrase there is, or there was, or there will be. In Russian there is a very specific way in which we do this in all the different tenses. How to do that exactly we will have a look in the very near future. For now, just remember what to use when you're talking about the presence of a certain weather condition. To be even more exact or even quantitative, we can start talking about degrees. The simplest way to do that is to say на улице and then the number followed by градусов. Градусов. This is just a declension of the word gradus. Gradus, which means degree. The word for temperature will be температура. Температура. Now be careful. On Russian weather forecasts, or even more so when you ask someone else for the weather, if it's the winter and it's negative, it's below zero, people won't usually say minus. They will just say, for example, 15 градусов. And that means 15 degrees below zero. If the temperature is close to zero, people will then usually specify, for example, -2, -2. You might sometimes hear 15 градусов мороза. Мороза. Moroz is the word for frost. Градусов мороза just means, well, below zero, effectively. And lastly, you could ask this question: какой на завтра прогноз погоды? Какой на завтра прогноз погоды? What's the weather forecast for tomorrow? Прогноз погоды is weather forecast. Какой is which one. So which is the weather forecast for tomorrow, literally. If you want to find out the names of other weather conditions, or if you have any other questions regarding weather in Russian, please do not hesitate to ask in the comments. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time. Goodbye.